Again with Nicole Elwood from Underground Yoga and Meditation Center in East Stroudsburg. And today we want to talk about breath work. Nicole, you were so kind last week to work with us on yoga for a healthy spine. But we're fully aware how stressed people are and how much of a mental strain this is putting on all of us right now. So we are here to try to help ease some of that stress. Nicole, how can breath help ease stress?
Breath is like magic, except it's not, it's physiology. So we know that our breath is connected to our emotional state. So if we sit here, if we wanted to get, wanted to get ourselves worked up, we could just, and we'd end up all worked up. And then if we slow the breath down, we will physiologically calm ourselves. So this is great news because this means the breath, which we have with us all the time, is the perfect tool to help us calm down. And, basic key is long, slow, steady breath. But first thing is you have to convince yourself to do it. So sometimes when I'm particularly stressed or upset, I don't think I want to be upset and stressed or angry, but I kind of do because I don't necessarily use my tools immediately because I feel like you're entitled to be upset, right? You're entitled to be frustrated. So the first thing is like actually remembering that I will be better able to deal with if I can calm myself down. Doesn't change the outside situation, but it changes how I process it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So with the breath, we want our body to be in a position so that we can breathe the most efficiently. This is where I talk to you. I love it for that, So when we inhale, we want the entire system to be able to move properly, and then exhale, same thing. So if you're sitting now, sit tall. If you're laying down, lay down tall. So we're not trying to squish. The shoulders aren't forward. The shoulders are back, relaxed and down. And when we're tense or upset, if you see a person upset, sometimes one of the first things we tend to say to them is breathe, take a breath, because that they're breathing very shallowly. That's not the word. But we have shallow breath. Right?
Because when we're stressed, our position is even a position of this. And when we're like this, we can't breathe. So,
and they work hand in hand. So the physical position impacts the mental emotional state. And then the mental emotional state impacts the physical state. And so being aware of how we're breathing in our position will help the physical state, which helps the mental and emotional state.
Yeah.
Did that make sense? It made sense in my head. I don't know if I said it. I don't know how.
No, it changes our physiology, most definitely.
Totally does. We all know this. When you walk into a room and your shoulders are back and you feel good, you just got a haircut, you kind of strut. So, we stand taller when we feel better. So we want to sit tall or stand tall. And we want the belly to move. We want the rib cage to move. And we also want the top of the lungs up here to be moving. So when we're stressed, we're only using, mostly the top of our lungs. So the first thing we want to do is put those hands on the belly and take a few breaths, not particularly fast, make them kind of slow, but feel the belly moving so that that belly moves out as we inhale and it moves back in when you exhale. Same thing with the waist. Not all the way up at the rib cage, all the way down by the belly. You'll feel that moving less, but it will still move. And then the low back too. Can you put your hands on that low back and feel any movement whatsoever? Maybe. We can't always feel movement there, but you can imagine that you are. So imagine that you're not only breathing forward, but you're breathing to the sides and the back also. Because your lungs inflate in all directions. We tend to just think of it as forward, but really it's everywhere.
Knowing it's not correct, but I always think of it as upwards. And it really should be more of a forward, right? Because we always try to suck our belly in. So
Right. We do. And, we suck our tummy in for a variety of reasons, for manners, to look skinny, to fit in our pants, whatever it is, we all do it. But really, we want that belly to be able to move. So as our lungs inflate, the rest of you is not squishy. Like your guts can't compress. So if your lungs are inflating, increasing their volume, part of it goes down, right? The diaphragm pushes down onto the guts, which means the guts have to move. They can't compress, so they move out. So that belly really needs to move. So relax that belly, let it move, let the muscles work how they're designed to work. Make sense?
Yep.
And now let's take those hands and bring them up more to the rib cage on the side and take a few deep, slow, steady breaths through the nose and see, can you feel movement? So the rib cage, the ribs move, they kind of slide relative to each other and they open up almost like an umbrella in all directions, really. Come up. And then on the exhale, they kind of slide relative to each other as they come back down. So posture would have a lot to do with this movement. And the more we can actually move those, that rib cage, the lungs can inflate more, we can get more oxygen. And remember, we're shallow, hardly breathing when we're stressed. When we're relaxed, we're breathing a lot more, right? This is one of the reasons we get adjusted. Yes, yes. And then finally up top. So you can put your hands anywhere up top, but there's the top of the lungs too. Collarbones, you can feel it. Sometimes you can even feel the shoulders shrugging ever so slightly. Again, you're not breathing fast. You're taking deep breaths, which means you're making them slow. If you have very deep breaths and it's very fast, that's when you feel like you're hyperventilating, and that's not what we want. That's not calm. That's stress. All right. So now let's put all these together. So we're going to take a deep inhale and inflate the belly first, then around the rib cage, and then the top. Now, obviously, it's all connected, but your awareness is making the belly as inflated as it can, then inflate the rib cage, all directions, not just forward, and then finally up top. And then when you exhale, exhale from the top all the way down. So release the top, the shoulders first, then the rib cage, and then let the belly come back in.
Okay.
So just like you would fill a pitcher, you fill from the bottom, fill the belly first all the way up. And then when you exhale, when you pour water out of a pitcher, then you pour it from the top all the way down.
Is it important to breathe out through your nose, or can you breathe out through your mouth?
You could. If the nose will really slow things down a little more. Now, if you're stuffy, obviously use the mouth. And sometimes you just need an I mean, that's actually a breath in yoga, lion breath. So certainly, sometimes you really need that forceful exhale of do it.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't do it for 5 minutes. I would just do a few, but absolutely. That's one thing, to get the belly going, like get all parts of the lungs going. So from the bottom all the way to the top, but also remember, it's not just the front, it's also the sides and the back and the top of the lung.
Yeah. So, I think the main key of all of this is the first thing that you said, is that for us to even be aware that we need to be breathing and how our breath affects everything else.
Yes, that's where I get stuck. I get stressed, and then I remember, wait a minute. I know what to do. I just have to do it.
Yeah.
I have to calm down enough to make myself do it. So,
and to do it frequently, to do it, as soon as you feel icky emotions come in, to say, okay, I'm going to focus on a deep breath.
That's right. 1 or 2. Just even in the car, at a stoplight, or before you pick up the phone, or before you answer the email. Just even just one breath will calm you just a little. Yeah. And really that's what we need. But if you think about modern day stressors, it's hypertension. There's stress all the time. Like your financial stress doesn't go away during certain times of day, right? All of your stressors don't necessarily go away. They're always there. And so our bodies tend to be in this stressful state, with elevated stress hormones and the blood pressure and all this. So anything we can do throughout the day that can reduce that is helpful, especially now, because it's like you can't take a breath without remembering what's going on in the world. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then I think you had a box breathing that you wanted to show us as well.
This is something that works really for just about everybody. And I think one of the reasons it works is because you can always remember it. This works great with kids, and you can teach kids this. And of course, you teach people this not when they're stressed, but you teach them when they're calm and when they're happy. And then when you see the emotions starting to rise before it's in full tantrum, that's when you try to do it. Okay. But kids realize that it works. And then the best is when they start teaching their friends. Oh, you're just like, this is the best. I love life. A simple square breath. So there's an inhale, a pause, an exhale, a pause, and they're each the same length. And you don't have to get very technical and scientific about it. So just count in your head. How long does a slow inhale take? And then pause that same amount of time. Exhale that same amount of time and pause that same amount of time. And when I'm doing this, I'm usually tracing out a square in my head. When you teach kids, or even anybody that just likes to, is a tactile learner, they can trace it out with their hands. Eyes can be open or closed. It's usually helpful if the eyes are closed. But this is something you can do, in a checkout line, and nobody knows you're doing it. Nobody knows you're doing it. So it's great. The square breath, the inhale, the pause, the exhale, the pause are all the same length. And then your goal is to, over a few minutes, is to extend that length as long as you can, but not be stressed. And that's key. Right. So if you're really trying to make it long and it's not working and you start tensing, now you're just stressing yourself.
Yeah.
So you start off with reasonable amount and then you just play. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. Just play. Yeah, the square breath. Teach everybody you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually like doing that before I fall asleep at night.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah. To focus my mind on something else than my worry stuff that I like to go into, to focus on breathing. And I know how to breathe in and out, but if I focus on counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it puts my mind on something and it helps with that.
It's a big distraction. So yoga considers our mind, all this stuff in our head, like a little puppy. So a little puppy just, it just runs around and does its little puppy thing, right? And then we say, oh, you sweet little thing, come back here. And it runs over here. And, oh, you sweet little thing, come back here. It's fun. Like your mind isn't like, don't get upset with your mind for doing its job, which is to take care of business. Your job, that's what your mind's supposed to do. And to be safe and all that stuff. But it can't be the boss of us all the time, because we just end up a ball of stress. And so when we slow the breath down, in particular those pauses, that's when, and maybe you can even tell that's when the thoughts tend to slow a little. And we call that quieting the mind. And anytime the mind is quieted, of course, you get all the physiological benefits, but that's when little bits of intuition, of wisdom just kind of burbles up, because it's not being drowned out necessarily by the mind. And so it's a great thing to practice. And the more you do it, the more easily you can start accessing how you really feel about things, that deep intuitive wisdom that we all have.
And your body literally releases different chemicals when you eat like this.
Oh, yeah.
That's the physiological change that happens. And those chemicals is what we need right now more than anything.
All day long.
Yes.
Day long. Not just a few times a day, but all day long. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. If you can end us with that. Oh, you had just told me before we got started that line of which defense comes first. I would love to end with that.
Yes.
We don't want to make it too long unless anybody has any specific questions. Of course, we'd be happy to answer those.
Right. But, and even later. So you can message us later and we can jump back on and talk about really anything all day. So Sharice found this actually one of the great teachers. He said, for inner peace, to just keep your calm and to really feel good, control your mind. So, change your thoughts. Sure, it's just that easy, right? And if that doesn't work, then change your breath. Do some of that breathing. If that doesn't work, change your body, meaning do some yoga poses, do some exercises, move around. Your physical movement impacts your emotional state. Absolutely.
It's scientifically shown that if you shake your butt, you can't be in a bad mood.
You know what else? Try this. Just tilt your head back and moan. Oh. You have to laugh.
Yes, especially when doing it on camera here, for sure.
Sorry, everybody out there. You watch both of us mouth open moaning. Oh, geez. So control the mind. And if that doesn't work, control the breath. If that doesn't work, control the body, move the body. And if that doesn't work, control your location. Put your physical body in a place that you know is good for you. And now that we're home a lot, it can be more challenging, but find a different room, face a different way, go outside. And then if you're still all in your head about it and still doesn't feel calming to you, add another thought that's true and that's helpful. I have a house. I have a 3-bedroom house. There's room. you know, like everybody doesn't have this. This is wonderful. And so you don't have to feel bad about however you feel, but you can add in something that really tempers it. Like I have a house. I have a refrigerator full of food. I mean, this is awesome. I can socially distance, but other people can't. So you can always add something in to just kind of help take the edge off of whatever is you're feeling. It has to be true, of course. Your mind knows if you're trying to con yourself. Put that on the top. So the mind, the breath, the body, and the location.
Perfect.
It's genius, actually.
It sure is. And it helps in all situations.
It does. It does. Really does.
Wonderful. And that's the beauty about yoga, is that you guys always include breath work. You know?
Yes. That's what makes it different from other forms of exercise, is that breath and the movement are together. Yeah.
Well,
thank you for messing around. I'm on an exercise ball again. So, and I forget, and then I watch me going, motion sick.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us again, Nicole. I really appreciate it. My Life is Good chiropractic crew, if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out and ask, and everybody else, of course, as well. This is not exclusive just for us. We're happy to be here to share, to support, to help, to keep your mind healthy, not just your body. This is about your mind too. You know, your mind, your mental health is extremely important and has a huge impact on your physical being and vice versa. So this all plays hand in hand. And we're really, you know, happy to be here with you and grateful for you that you're here with us.
Wonderful. That goes for underground as well.
Yes.
Everything is connected, and we are absolutely here for each other.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Thank you so much, Nicole. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Bye.